Hey, welcome back to Darkside of the Pooch, brought to you by Sasquatch Toys and Comics. I went down there late last week. As a matter of fact, the place gets bigger and bigger and better and better every time I go in. 300,000 comics, all kinds of games, cards, Legos, you name it. If you're like my age, you go in there and it's like a throwback to the 70s, man. I mean, there's so much cool stuff in there, Evil Knievel toys and all kinds of things. A lot of it's still unboxed. The true collectors go there. And of course, Seth, he goes all around the country and does all these shows. And so he gets the best autograph stuff as well. Check him out. It is Sasquatch Toys and Comics right there on Citation Lane. Dr. Rab Stewart, Rossbridge Animal Hospital is the man that makes this show possible. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm in my street clothes. I'm in my street
You are
clothes
in your
today.
street clothes. I know your kid was a little under the weather today, so but I'm glad you're in your other office, as it were, and you gave us the time to get that done. So we appreciate that. Um, Time's getting down to the end of the summer. I cannot believe that next week's going to be September, which is silly. Do you prepare any differently for seasons? Are there any particular things that go on? I guess several people go, "Well, how's it?" Because I know, like hot season, we talk about pets' paws, and obviously not leaving them in cars and things like that. Is there anything in particular that you see raises up or falls off a little bit come fall time? Putting on tight Alabama Auburn outfits on your animal and asphyxiating them. Is there anything like that ever happens, or is everything pretty much stay status quo?
We get busier during certain times of the year. I try to massage our what we're carrying, at work as far as products, medications. We want to be sure that we have everything that we need, and same goes for staff. You don't want to be understaffed when summer comes. But as far as like being prepared for certain conditions and things like that, I mean, we're kind of always prepared. We're always prepared, whatever's going on with the animal.
Yeah,
It's just more of an issue of being prepared with staff and inventory and stuff, which is more business than veterinary stuff.
yeah,
Um, but we're always ready to handle whatever goes on because most of the stuff is not seasonal. Like dogs, it's interesting. Around like you can always bank on a dog getting into chocolate around Valentine's Day.
sure.
So you gotta deal with that. But we're always on the ready to deal with stuff like that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So like it's just funny how things will happen. You'll also have a dog eats chocolate around Easter. You'll have anytime somebody like around Christmas time, the dogs will tear presents up and they'll swallow stuff they're not supposed to. And but they do that year round, you know?
yeah, that's true. I can certainly see that. Something that you did, I actually brought my Pooch in when I went on vacation for a couple days, and you guys did a wonderful job of taking care of him. And I know that he had, I think you gave him a vaccine or something like that. I know how this world is on vaccinations ever since the whole COVID thing, and some people don't believe they don't get flu shots. You do you. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. If you want the flu, go ahead and knock yourself out. But there are still people out there that believe that when you get the vaccine, that you're actually getting the flu with the shot, and it's not true. But these other vaccines, parvo, whatever, have you ever seen any side effects from animals getting vaccinations? And if they do, is that natural?
They don't the side effects that they get are usually zero.
Yeah.
But things that are possible to get, they can have a little bit of soreness or lethargy because most of our vaccines are modified live vaccines.
Mm,
So they are getting a very small amount of the virus. The exception to that is rabies. We do killed rabies vaccines, not modified live. Um, so they can be lethargic, but they don't like if you're going to give a parvo vaccine, they're not gonna have symptoms of having a very, very mild case of parvo. That's not the
yeah.
way it works,
Yeah.
okay? What the symptoms that they're gonna get are autoimmune hypersensitivity reactions.
Yeah.
So we're talking about maybe some facial swelling,
Okay.
uh, talking about maybe some vomiting, um, lethargy, usually mild, sometimes very severe. But the facial swelling and the vomiting and the severe lethargy, it's very uncommon. Something that doesn't happen often at all. Um, I cannot remember a time where we've had a severe vaccine reaction.
Yeah.
the thing about vaccinating animals that is so much different is that animals don't wash their hands, they don't practice hygiene. Vaccinating them is very important because they don't self police like we do.
Hmm.
If you don't want to get the flu vaccine, personally, that's great.
Yep.
You can wear a mask, you can wash your hands, you can, stay away from people. Um, and your dog can do that too. If you're at home and your dog never boards, it never goes to the groomer, you never take it out of your yard. If it's your prerogative to not vaccinate the pet, that's fine. But what I really try to educate people on is that okay, your dog gets groomed. You take it to the groomer, it's there for a few hours. It's probably in a kennel next to another dog. They're going to get nose to nose, or at least within a couple of inches of each other.
Hmm.
Those dogs need to be fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they must be in most groomers. I know that they do that at your place. Yeah.
Right. So, occasionally we'll have a client that says, "Well, I don't want my dog to have the flu vaccine because I don't get the flu vaccine."
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
It's
But
just it's ridiculous, but okay.
yeah, that's fine. But it's not apples and apples.
Yeah.
Okay, like you're not going to sit next to a unless it's your spouse, or maybe like a relative. You're not going to sit within 1 inch of that person for hours while you breathe on each other.
Yeah.
That's what dogs do.
Hmm.
They will get as close as they can and they will breathe on each other for hours.
You ever
Okay,
make
that's a
you ever
that's
make
a breeding ground.
you ever make love to someone with the flu?
Yeah, of course I have.
I can remember one time. You keep saying nose to nose. Of course, my nose does get within 2 inches of about everyone's face. But I was thinking about this woman that I went out with when I was in high school, and we had a prom, and she invited me to her prom. And for some reason, I was not going to my own prom, but it was because I was in a lot of CYO things. I was meeting these good Christian girls. And I remember this girl, she was just so smoking hot, and I wanted to go out with her so bad. And she asked me to go to her prom with her, and I said absolutely. And then she ended up getting the flu. And I said, hey, listen, I'm good if you are. And she's like, what? And I said, if you're good to go, I'm good to go. I mean, and she's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, it's up to you. I mean, if you want to have a good time, da 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 da. And she just knocked herself up with all kinds of sinus stuff and everything else. So we went, and of course, I got sicker than hell a couple of days later, but it was the best flu I ever had. The
Yeah, I
same.
mean, I'm married. I have a wife,
Yeah.
and sometimes I think with the wrong brain, and sometimes there's no like, it's like you're sick, you got the flu. Yeah, I don't really
Yeah,
care
that
about
doesn't
that
really
right
matter
now.
yet. No,
But
women will not do that, but guys, we really don't care.
no, I don't care. But usually there's a really I think it's a Saturday Night Live skit with Will Ferrell, and they're basically playing this out, in the skit. Now, and the Will Ferrell Saturday Night Live era was when I was in high school, and so I always thought it was hilarious. Um, but yeah, they're playing that out, how that works in real life, and it's so true.
That
The
is
husband's
hilarious.
just trying to like get his wife all hopped up on NyQuil so she'll be
So
okay
she'll
and won't
pass
like
out. Yeah.
she'll be decongested and won't be feeling bad, and he'll be able to take
In
care of
most
business.
cases, that means it's not going to last very long, which is fine with us too. Just lay there for a minute. We're fine. That's true love. It really is. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. We get lots of emails. Most of them are emails that we've had been asked before. I should have like a little bell I ring or something like that when we get one we haven't seen, but we get this one a lot. And every time I ask you about it, you don't know a whole lot about it because I don't expect you to. But I expect as we get further into this, you will have more because I think eventually people will start administering, or maybe even your shop will start administering some type of CBD type of prescription to animals. Can you tell me, is there any research? I've got like three different emails here. Is it okay to give your animal CBD? I know a lot of people probably giving their dogs or cats marijuana smoke. They probably, I've heard of someone smoking a cat in the side of a box. I've heard all these strange, bizarre things. You do you with your pet. I've seen people give their dogs beers, alcoholic beverages, fill the dog bowl with Jack and Coke. And it is, I guess it's funny. It's probably not good for the pet, but it's probably fun to watch. But CBD, what do you know about that? We're obviously, the gummy market. I get on a 7-Eleven right now and probably get me a gummy that'll knock me on my ass. What are you saying about animals, pets? If it's going to help the humans, why can't it help our pets? And does it?
CBD, I mean, it is something that there's research out about it. Um, and also, yeah, there's a lot of people that will have access to it. Like you said, I mean, you can get it online, you can get it at pet stores. I think it is starting to kind of like die off in popularity. Maybe, people aren't using it quite as much.
Why
There
is
is
that?
well, I think maybe because of the veterinary research that's coming out,
Okay.
it can be more used for musculoskeletal pain.
Okay.
There is some indication for musculoskeletal pain. Not so much of an indication for like stress or anxiety relief, which is
Mhm.
why I think people they want their pets to take it because they feel like CBD is maybe helpful for them if they are anxious or stressed. But
Yep.
in pets, it doesn't really show that there's any indication for that with the research. But it can help a little bit with musculoskeletal pain, like arthritic pain.
Okay. But as far as anxiety, sleep, we don't have any. I
There's
mean,
there's no indication that that helps pets with anxiety at all.
yeah, I would assume that would certainly be the case. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. A question that I've asked you as well, and you give me the same answer. But another person, my dog keeps eating grass. Why does my dog keep eating grass? My dog will eat grass any chance he gets. And I know that we have talked about maybe it tickling the throat enough to make him vomit. That's why we always think that sick dogs eat grass. That's not always necessarily true. Maybe they just like the taste of grass. I do notice that there are some, it's like horses. Horses will eat a certain type of grass. If you take like a patch of grass and get it, it will pick out the stuff it likes. And my dog's the same way. He will only eat a certain type of plant. He'll go snooping through the woods to find that one plant, and he'll sit there. I mean, he'll sit on his haunches and get after it. And as long as he'll throw it up, he doesn't get sick. And it's pretty easy to clean up. It's just a bunch of grass. But why do dogs do that? Are they just being dogs?
I don't know that anyone knows for sure. I don't think dogs are smart enough to know that if they eat that, they're going to vomit.
Okay.
Okay. Because I think that if that were the case, the opposite of that would also be true. Like
Mm.
I don't think dogs think, oh, if I eat this, like I'm a dog right now. Okay. I have an upset stomach. I'm going to eat this grass. It's going to make me throw up and feel better. I don't think dogs have that mental capacity to do that because if they did, they would also say, "Oh, the last time I ate this, I threw up. I
Yeah,
shouldn't eat this again because it made me sick."
there
Well,
you go.
dogs they're gonna eat whatever they want.
And if they're
Okay,
going
it
to throw
doesn't.
up, they're going to throw up. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. They can't connect the dots like that. They're just not smart enough.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, dogs they end up eating plants and grass mainly because they are curious about them. Dogs don't hold things in their hands the way that people do. That's the way that we explore objects. Like, if I want to, like, I'm going to pick this up. If I'm curious about it, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to look at it. Might open it up and check it
Mhm.
out.
Yeah.
Well, dogs don't do that. They don't use their hands, they use their mouths. That's why they put everything in their mouths. Everything around they put in their mouths, whether it's grass or my AirPods case or whatever. They're putting it in their mouth to see the texture of it, to see if it has a taste. And so they're curious as to what all that stuff is. And so that's why they put literally everything in their mouth.
Yeah. You ever make love to your wife within 24 hours of her vomiting?
I don't think that I have. She doesn't vomit much. Now, maybe sometimes she vomits afterwards, uh, but not
I was gonna say maybe when
before.
you were starting, maybe you start dating, because I mean we've all held our girlfriend's hair out of the toilet, right? Or is that just
I
me?
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. I think if anything, it would be more of it was within 24 hours because I'm the one that made her vomit because she had to do that.
Yeah. All right. A couple more questions here, and then I want to ask you a movie question. Is it better for your dog as an owner that it's got diarrhea or it's vomiting? Which end is better? If my animals, and I asked the question because my dog had diarrhea for the first time ever Oh, it's 10 years old. I've never seen it, and I knew because it was passing gas. You could actually hear it when it went to the bathroom because there was nothing coming out. And that's really hard to clean up off someone's lawn, by the way. It's hard to pick up diarrhea. So I just act like I picked something up next to it because they knew it was taking a dump because it was squatting, but I had to pick up something. I had to look like I was picking something up. What was I gonna do? But it had diarrhea. And of course, my daughter's like, "You need to take this dog into rehab." And I said, "Hold on, we got a 2 day thing here. We're gonna go 2 days, and on the third day, he's not eating, and then third day, of course, he was chowing down. He's good to go, and it's solid again." But I do know it seems like through our conversations in the past, whenever a dog vomits a lot, that usually means it could be something more serious, right or wrong?
I think in general, vomiting is a little more of a concern
Yeah,
than diarrhea. Um, I mean, that's not to say that diarrhea is never a concern. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, if there are other symptoms that are going along with that, like lethargy or not eating, then, that's a concern. And if it's persistent, if it lasts longer than 24 hours or so, then I mean, there are some serious things they can have, and maybe their only perceived symptom by a pet owner would be diarrhea.
yeah.
But I think that vomiting is more of a usually it is more of a concern. It's a symptom that can be tied to more serious illnesses. And a lot of times when they're vomiting, they're also not eating. And
Hmm.
so when they're not eating, that just opens up a lot of problems. A lot of times if they're having loose stool or having diarrhea, they still have an appetite. Sometimes they won't, but it's much more common that if they're vomiting, they're not going to eat versus, if they have diarrhea, they're still probably going to be eating.
I have found I like to give my dog table scraps. I make him work for him. He's got to do a trick for me or something. I don't give him a lot, but whenever I have a good steak or something like that, there's a nice piece of meat there. I don't give him just straight fat or skin or whatever. I make sure he gets some protein there. But there are some different types of food that he doesn't like. I mean, he'll eat it. He loves the taste, but it makes him sick. So, ribs is one of those. I can't give him ribs. And normally, I wouldn't give my dog a nice rib anyway. But if I take some off the bone, I know now that whenever I give my dog ribs, he's going to vomit it up, like
Yeah.
almost immediately, like he's allergic to it or something like that. So,
Okay, check. Your dog turns tricks and you give him meat.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, I
All
do.
right. I got that.
And the other thing is people need to realize is I mean, if you're going to give your dog table scraps, it doesn't matter how much you're giving your dog. It's the fact you're giving the dog. That's why when people are giving dogs treats for doing tricks, the treat's like this big. It's like one of those pills you'd stick inside of a hot dog or something like that, like a heart pill or something like that. So as long as they're getting something, that's all they care about. They don't care that you're giving them a whole hot dog. They care that they're just getting a hot dog. So I mean,
Yeah.
you can take this. My daughter, I'll have like a piece of ribeye or something. I'm like, break it up in like 17 pieces. Make him do something for him because they'll think he's getting 17 treats as opposed to like one big fat thing because they're not going to taste it. They just down it. They swallow it before they even know what they've eaten. So it is what it is. I was thinking about you earlier today. I was watching something on the History Channel, History's Best Mysteries. And we have never talked about this. You and I talk about movies, but Bruce Lee. Were you ever into Bruce Lee movies? Any Taekwondo, Kung Fu type of Chinese something or other? Were you ever into that Bruce Lee thing back in the 70s? I mean, I know you probably weren't born. I was. But have you ever been to that kind of movie? Jackie Chan's type of stuff?
Yeah. I've seen Enter the Dragon, which is
Have you? I've never seen
for
it.
yeah, I've
And they were
seen Enter
talking
the
about that movie
Dragon.
today. Yeah.
And it's
He
been
was born in the sign of the dragon.
okay.
And that's one of the reasons why that movie was so important. And of course, that movie was released 30 days after he died in 1973. To this day, it's like $400 million. And there's no telling. He was kind of like James Dean. There's no telling just how big he would have been. He was dead at 32. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but it was to me like a fascinating movie, and I think that kids my age, I think that if you were born in the 80s, your parents were alive and of age to know about Bruce Lee and how much of an influence he was in martial arts and stuff. And
Mhm.
I think that I would I'm sure there's some way to figure this out, but I'm sure that he influenced a ton of people to do martial arts. But the person that I watched the most was Jackie Chan. And Jackie Chan has I think what people maybe don't realize about Jackie Chan is that the movies that he made before he came to America and made American movies
Mhm.
are incredible. Like the
Yep.
movies that you can see that are like either dubbed or subtitled that he did in China are incredible. Like one of the probably my favorite martial arts movie of all time is called Drunken Master.
Mhm.
Um, and it is basically Jackie Chan plays a drunk. Okay. Have you seen this? Have
No,
you seen
I
this
have not.
movie?
No, no.
Okay. And he's an incredible in the movie, he plays an incredible martial artist, but he's only good if he's drunk. And
Wow.
so and that's part of the story. And so you have Jackie Chan, who is just an incredible athlete and incredibly skilled. Not only that, but he can also somehow act like he is totally hammered
Really?
doing these moves.
Wow.
And it's hilarious
I love
because
that.
it also has so much comedy in it because he's like falling down at the perfect time to miss a guy's punch. Okay. And then at the same, it's so slapstick. He grabs a mop to do something with the mop and like kind of inadvertently does this crazy Chinese, acrobatic flips all over the place and this
Yeah.
karate stuff. And he ends up taking out four guys. So Drunken Master. If anybody is out there that like martial arts and they like Jackie Chan, go watch Drunken Master. It's incredible.
I will have to check that out. I was just wondering. I know we talk a lot of movies, and you haven't seen good movies lately, have you?
Saw Backrooms last week.
Backroom. Oh
Backrooms.
yeah, yeah. That's. I heard that was pretty funky, pretty crazy. So did you like it?
I did like it. It's pretty open ended, which is
For a reason, probably. Did it make you feel
yes, it's
claustrophobic?
no, not at all. I thought that it was really, really good. As far as like the set was incredible. I thought the cinematography was really good. Um, and a lot of these movies that come out of the A24 production, they're like the storylines, they just leave it kind of open ended and they're just kind of out there, kind of just
Mm.
kind of weird, which
Yeah.
is, my cup of tea. I love it. But Backrooms is good. I think it was like an 80% something with the tomato meter and maybe a high 70s with the popcorn.
Hmm.
So a little bit higher with the critics and fans.
Okay. I watched Twisters. I saw the original. I remember when the original Twister came out, it was like, whoa, this is when computer animation really started taking hold and they could really make a tornado look like a tornado, as opposed to maybe the Wizard of Oz, which, by the way, is an incredible tornado in its own. The fact that thing was made in the 20s and 30s is unbelievable. Um, but it was a good movie. It was 86 on Rotten Tomatoes. I wouldn't give it quite an 86, but it was a fun movie. I could see it was a summer movie, but it had really nothing to do with the first Twister. Now they got Twisters. Now I don't know if the third one's called, Twister Outbreak or something like that, but I'm not sure. But it was pretty good. I watched it because my son wanted to watch it. And anytime Xavier wants to sit still for 2 hours, I'm in. It could be anything. It could be Veggie Tales, whatever. If he wants to sit still for 2 hours, I'm in. And I will like it. I will
Yeah.
like it. All right. Yeah, this is a wonderful show we do every single week, Dark Side of the Pooch. We couldn't do it without our great sponsor, Sasquatch Toys and Comics. I want to thank Seth, who he listens every single week. He's got Sasquatch Toys and Comics, over 300,000 comics, Legos, Star Wars stuff, a lot of stuff, still bike stuff. We got a lot of collectors out there that are kind of into the 40-year-old virgin thing, where they got the stuff up on the shelves and that had not been opened. That's your store. If you got like stuff in the attic, a baseball collector, whatever it is, anything collectible, take it in there. He'll buy it from you. It does wonderful work, and it just is very nostalgic to walk through that place. And there's not like an inch where something is not sitting on it. It's amazing. They got some lifestyle stuff and a lot of autograph stuff. I'm taking some of the things out of my own personal collection, as a matter of fact, down there. So go check out Sasquatch Toys and Comics. And how can people find you, my friend?
Yeah, call us at 208-0301. You can find us on Facebook and you can email us at rossbridge animal hospital at gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. I'll talk next week.
Okay, buddy.